is another band. All the Mars and cars now, whichever get up. Light up my card with a sweet one, please. Someone flicks me a bag by the say, oh, it's another one. It's another one, yeah. It's a full strand, yeah. Oh, it's another one. It's another one, yeah.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Stay Within Show presented to you by iBoxingHub. My name's Abbas. I'm joined with Ray. How you doing?
New week. That's a new week.
New week, but there are a few hot topics.
New week. Alhamdulillah, we give thanks for a new week.
But before we get into it, as always, guys, this show, as we mentioned, is presented by iBoxingHub, but it's also sponsored by D-Rock Clothing. So go ahead. Go to D-Rock Clothing's website, type in the code iBoxingHub24 to get yourself 40% off site worldwide. With that being said, as I said, new week, but a lot of boxing topics to talk about. And first thing we got to talk about, something that wasn't going to be on the radar, but we had a fight over the weekend, and Munguía beat John Ryder. Now, I'm not going to talk about the fight just specifically itself, but it was a dominating display against John Ryder and against a guy that one guy in Canelo struggled to beat. And then after that, struggle
to finish, not struggle to beat.
I'll go
he was beating his ass up. He was struggling. All respect to Ryder, he was struggling to finish him. But yeah, go on.
Now the conversation is in the air. Is there a potential fight for Munguía against Canelo? And then what does that do for Benavidez, for Charlo, for the Crawfords that are potentially all lined up going forward?
Listen, man, it is nasty. If Benavidez does not get this title fight, it is a duck, plain and simple. And I don't normally like using that word when it comes to a lot of fighters because I feel like there's a lot of politics involved, etc., etc. Benavidez is literally the number one contender. There is no good reason why Canelo should not face Benavidez. And I get sometimes people say, oh, but if he beats him, then there's always going to be the next and the next and the next. You're the champion. Heavy's the head. If you're going to be champion, that's what comes with it. Benavidez is the next guy in line. He's beaten two credible contenders to get there. He should be getting his title shot. And I don't know for every reason whether they feel like they need more time to build it or they've got personal history that Canelo doesn't want to face him. But if the Jamal, and I like Jamal Charlo, but if he gets that fight, it's nasty. If Munguía gets that fight, it's nasty. Benavidez is the only fight, and the fans need to be more vocal, but this is the only fight that makes sense, point blank, period.
I was going to say, for the first time then, do you think there's actually pressure on Canelo to make a certain fight? Because for me, it's always been like, look, it's Canelo Alvarez. He's going to fight everybody because of the type of guy he is. But let's say in 2024, he doesn't fight Benavidez and he fights one of three guys being Charlo, Crawford, or Munguía. Are the fans going to finally get onto Canelo to be like, you are officially ducking this guy?
They have to. They absolutely have to. And I think it's different when it's the case of guys that may have not truly earned their title shot, or maybe is a guy that is a fan favorite and they're just bringing up his name. He hasn't really done the work. Whereas this situation is like, this is literally a weight class. This is a guy that even a year ago was claiming for the title shot, but people rightfully so said, no, Benavidez, you need to beat someone credible to get that title shot. He beat Caleb Plant, former champion. Then he beat Demetrius Andrade, former champion. And like high-ranking contenders. That's it. He's done the work. Like, what more do you want? He's also been given praise by a lot of Mexican legends, even though obviously that's the whole politics. But that should even make Canelo want to whoop him more, just to say, you lot, ganged up to spite me, and I'm going to spite this guy down.
Do you know what, though? This is what I'll say about Canelo is, so I remember Andrade, because it's the famous line now, payday, or who the fuck is that guy type of thing. So I feel like when you approach Canelo in a way to say that I want you, he can shrug it off because he knows that you want him. The way Munguía kind of approached it was to say, I would love that fight and I respect Canelo type of thing. So is the approach like a bit too much in your face or a bit too desperate from like a Benavidez?
I think with the Canelo situation, obviously it's difficult because you don't want to come off desperate. Whereas Benavidez, in his case, he is justified to be like, no, I am the number one guy. There should be no one else who should be more deserving than me right now. And yes, the whole payday thing, like I said, a year ago, that was true, and he hadn't beaten Caleb Plant yet. And he hadn't beaten Demetrius Andrade yet. That's when the payday stuff was true for Benavidez. Now it's just like the people that you're saying that he should face instead, they're not better than Benavidez, or they're not in a higher ranked position anyway. So it's like clamoring to say Munguía deserves it more than Benavidez is crazy. Even Jamal Charlo, because he hasn't even fought at that weight class. Benavidez has just fought at that weight class.
It looks like apparently the two names that will be scheduled will be Charlo and Crawford for Canelo's 2 fights. No excitement there for you, or?
That is a duck. I'm sorry. And I'm a Canelo guy. If that is true and that's what goes through, that is a duck. The Crawford, they need to make that fight with him and Jamel Charlo ASAP, just so he can, get a few more belts under him, under that weight class. And then it can even help to build up this fight to Canelo. Because if Canelo was to face Benavidez next, and then Crawford has an impressive victory over Jamel for some of the belts, then it's even more credence to be like, listen, I finished the guy that Canelo couldn't. You get what I'm saying? You can build it up more and then say, all right, cool, Bud Crawford, let's see him. But I think how is this Benavidez is the deserving guy, point blank period, man. There's no escaping that. There's no going around it. Benavidez is rightfully the number one contender, and anything else for him not getting a title fight is ridiculous. And I don't know why this is happening like this.
Do you know what? We've got your views on that, and now we're going to shift over to something of more of your familiarity. I definitely said light heavyweight division. Buatsi versus Aziz. This was meant to happen last year, I believe. Didn't occur. And we were talking about it off air a little bit, but in this particular fight, how much pressure is Buatsi under to not just win, but win in a fashion that has eyes open for people?
He's under the most pressure because he was, for a long time, the light heavyweight that everyone expected a lot of. Heavy as the head. He was the Olympian. He was the guy that got it back in that match room. He was a guy that most people are saying, out of all the light heavyweight batch of good UK guys, he was meant to be the guy. And it hurts me to say this, but he's looking like, and don't get me wrong, when I say this, all respect to the player because he had a fantastic career, but there's always that big what if regarding him. Right now, it's looking at the Theo Walcott of the light heavyweight division. When I say that, is a guy, great ability, but he was always seen as potential rather than talent achieved. And I feel like I'm scared that Buatsi is going to fall into that field of the biggest what if of, if he doesn't make a big leap this year, he's going to be that guy that everyone's going to keep on always looking at like, what if Buatsi had, zigged instead of zagged? What if he was able to jump that? Because right now it's a regression fight. He should have been fighting for a world title. I understand, obviously, on his side, it's like that activity thing, but now it's like, when was the Olympics? It was 2016 Olympics, wasn't it? What? Damn near 7 years now. And you still haven't...
Last 3 years, you'd be fighting, what, once a year?
Yeah, once a year. And even as like, Lawrence Okolie was part of that same Olympic squad and he became world champion. And you saw it, and even defended his belt. Even though he's gone through... That's even looks worse because despite the passer that Lawrence Okolie has gone through, he still went for that world title. Whereas Buatsi is just like, you're just looking at it as like, why are you so hesitant? Like, there's not going to be the perfect opportunity. You get what I'm saying? Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying go in there compromise, but at the same time, if you keep looking for the perfect time, it's not going to happen. And from what I understand is the winner of this fight is going to go on to face Yard in the UK. Fair. Go get your money, get paid. But even that fight, I feel like it's got a shine off of it. But Imagine if he gets through. Sorry.
Yeah.
But my thing is this: imagine if he gets through Dan Aziz and then loses to Yard, then it's gonna be like, rah, what happened?
Do you know what though? This is the thing I think, and it's not a bad thing, but it's not like a great thing again. But again, they're professionals. Is sometimes we might expect too much of a fighter, and it's just their level. Like their comfortability level is what their level is. But it also brings that point, like you said, he's an Olympian and stuff. And there was a lot of people that used to, oh, Joshua's just got the backing. It's easy. It's with Eddie Hearn. Buatsi was with Eddie Hearn. He made that jump, but he was also an Olympian. So it kind of also showcases that it's only so much that you can have the machine behind you. But if you're not that engine that's ready to go, you could be wrapped up as a new Mercedes. If you don't have that engine ready to go, it's just not going to work for you. And I think we're at that crossroad with Buatsi. But then going into this fight then, as we mentioned, Buatsi's got the pressure. Is Dan Aziz playing with house money, and what can we expect from him in this particular fight?
He's got nothing to lose. He's been not had anything to lose. For Dan Aziz, it's just a case of Dan Aziz. I don't know if I'd say he's the Leon Edwards of the situation, but it's almost that. It's a similar feeling. I see Craig Richards more of the Leon Edwards of the like heavyweight division, of like the dark horse that the ability is there, but he just, once he gets it right, he'll be the guy. But Dan Aziz is in a similar situation where you quietly built up your resume when everyone else was, obviously, to parallel it to MMA, was like Leon Edwards was on the incline, and then Darren Till obviously had a lot of the popularity at the time. Then what happened to Darren Till happened to Darren Till, and then Leon Edwards just steadily was on the incline, wasn't getting as much credit for his wins, wasn't getting as much credit for his ability, but he just kept on chipping away at it. When he got his title shot, it was highly doubted, and then he got the belt. And Dan Aziz is in that similar position where he was quietly, building up your resume. You got the English title, you got the British title. I think he got the Commonwealth title as well, or the European, one of those. And so now Dan Aziz is at a situation where this is going to be a big match that if he gets through this win, is going to be monumental, because he wasn't meant to be the guy. But I think he'll get the full backing, because it's like he's a proper working man's fighter. He's a proper, I went through the hard way.
In 2022.
Yeah.
You have had two, obviously, the Buatsi one didn't materialize. I'm looking at this as this particular fight that if he sticks it onto Buatsi early on, makes it awkward, I think we could have a potential upset. Personally, I think there's a potential upset brewing. That Boxer, I don't know how they'd feel about it. Again, they brought Buatsi over, brought Okoli over. Both haven't materialized as they were. And then in terms of an investment, how would that look for Boxer if Buatsi goes and loses?
It's a cold game, man. It is a very cold game. There ain't no love in this game. They will take their stock, like in a casino. They'll take their stock and place onto Dan Aziz, and then they'll keep it moving. And I'm sure that Buatsi probably have enough shine on his name that he can still get, a redeeming fight back to get in people's good graces. But it's just a cruel way that the machine works, is that if Dan Aziz wins, then Boxer will put all their chips onto Dan Aziz and put a promotional machine behind him to try and get him the glory that Boxer needs right now, because we've had this discussion many a times. Boxer needs a big year this year, because their time on Sky Boxing might depend on it. And
I was going to say, this card, though, to be fair to them, it showcases Ben Whittaker, showcases Adam Azim on there as well. So it's just, for me, getting and this is a boxing problem worldwide, it's getting people to want to watch the undercard. And I kind of think they have it to a point with the two guys on the undercard themselves. I think they can do a good job. And again, last week as well, and we'll touch on this in terms of the battle of the promotional side soon, but I think last week as well, when they had Tasha Jonas fighting as well, so they managed to pull out two cards in the space of 4 to 5 weeks, you could say, to start off the year. So it's they're doing the best with what they can with probably my
Yeah,
way.
but this is, you know what it is? The urgency they're coming with now is what you should have been coming with. Especially now, it's like, look at it, they're not getting the Saudi deals as well. Like, it's just looking a mess. And like,
Fighters will probably look and think we're missing out on the bag, even though they're not ready for the bag. Inside,
they are. Listen, man, those cars are just asking for Ben Whittaker.
Okay.
Even though we're because of prospect right now, it's like the razzle dazzle that he brings and the attention he brings. They need him. They both need each other. And that's what I was saying is like, as much as people are talking about the machine behind AJ, this is a similar machine that Ben Whittaker's a part of, except for you've got the resources of Sky, but they don't have the Eddie Hearn. And I feel like Ben Whittaker should be a bigger. There's not enough people. Like, I remember when AJ was on a come up, so many people knew AJ. Do you know what I'm saying? And with Ben Whittaker, it's like I'll be telling my friends about Ben Whittaker and they'll be like, oh, who's that guy? And for me, it's like, no, he's meant to be someone that people are meant to be like, oh yeah, I've heard of that guy's name. Yeah, I look forward to seeing his fights. And obviously he's a bit flashy and some people are complaining, which they're always going to complain about. He's doing against low opposition. And now this is a year where it's just like, we want to see the same flashiness against high opposition now. But Boxer needs to put a machine behind him more to get him more like acclaim to the public and whatnot. And I don't know what's going on with Boxer, man. This is absolutely just promotional malpractice. Shout out to Luke Thomas. Like, this is crazy. That I don't understand. They're just dropping the ball and they've got so many talented people, but it's just like if you don't know how to use the talent, then it don't matter.
Do you know what? Let's move on to another promotion that's soft launching, but in a way that just looks a bit weird for me. I always say when a soft launch, you want to test the waters out. Don't give us too much, which they're not, but don't make us pay too much for it. That's PBC with Amazon. Looks like they've got the fight. I think it's in March. They're going to be doing it, and that's Tim Tszyu versus Keith One-Time Thurman. Pay-per-view charging. Look, we've said this before. American fans, we feel sorry for you because of what you've got to do. But with PBC and the fighters they've got, we've said they probably arguably have the best roster on hand. I remember when DAZN launched in the UK, they charged us £2. And I think the first fight was Canelo and Triple G. What is this method that PBC are going with Amazon? Like, just can you justify anything about this whatsoever? Because I can't.
Absolutely nasty. This ain't even a test the waters type of situation. They're not even scoping the scenery. Shout out Jada Kingdom for that one. But why would you make this a pay-per-view and then also not put the title on the line? What? Like, what does this catchweight do for anybody? And what I truly believe it is that a lot of the PBC fighters have been on a certain amount of money. Well, the old school PBC fighters, shall I say. They've been promised a certain amount of money and they can't recoup that money just doing normal shows. So in order to get them paid, you're going to have to do pay-per-view, even if it tanks. It's like that pay-per-view money, as little as those buyers might be, will suffice for payment for some of these guys. And I've said this for a while. After the current crop of stars in boxing, so the AJs, the Canelos, they could put Fury there.
Usyk to a point.
No, I wouldn't even say Usyk because he's not a star like that. But I'm talking to people that's going to generate tens of millions.
Canelo.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Canelo, AJ, and then maybe Fury.
Yeah.
After those lot go, there needs to be a mass. Obviously, wait, I'll put Crawford in there as well. But I also don't think Crawford is criminally overpaid, though. But my point being is this. There's a lot of guys that are going to have to reassess how much they're actually worth and not because they're not worth it because of their value, but rather the money is not there in boxing anymore for some of these guys to demand the money that they want. because the way some people demanding, oh, this one 10 million, that 10 million, but it's just like, bears, you don't generate that much money. They literally, the economics of boxing is showing us you don't generate that much. There's no pay-per-view stars. It's like Ryan Garcia and Gervonta Davis, the anomaly. But then without each other, neither has generated over like $500,000 in pay-per-views. Do you get what I'm saying? Apart from, like I said, AJ and Canelo. So once they're gone and all their big monster deals of the tens of millions that those two generate, I think there needs to be an honest conversation with a lot of boxers of like just how much they want to demand. Because obviously, sometimes without the Saudis, some of these guys are demanding a certain amount of money, and it's just like the money's not there for you guys. None of you lot are selling what you think you're selling to be demanding certain money. And it's not me wanting to put down their bag because, listen, I want everyone to get paid, but it's just the realistic economy of boxing at the moment. There's not too many stars that can generate that amount of money. That's what some of these fighters want. And that's how you get the PBC situation, because you got a bunch of people that maybe yesteryears or even a decade ago, because someone like Furman a decade ago, you might be able to get a big contract, but now it's just like you can't keep on offering those contracts. And then when you do, now you got to put them on stupid pay-per-view fights that might not even sell that much because you owe them a certain amount of money. Look how Ruiz is like priced himself out of situations. Like
we never seen Ruiz fight. But you guys, do you know what helped? What did it for him? It wasn't even that he just got the Snickers deal, and he was just happy with it. He was just happy with the Snickers deal, and he was like, "Look, I upset the apple card. I became world champion. I believe that was that AJ's first defeat as well. If I'm not wrong."
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. You got that money with AJ. You're not getting that money with anyone else. AJ gets that money.
Because that was when Jarrell Miller was meant to fight him, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
He's a stepping guy as well, and he took advantage. Credit to him. I saw him all the daytime TVs. He was like Snickers, and he got whatever deal he got his money. But I was gonna say stick it with PBC then. Like I said, they have Canelo. I believe they got Crawford as well, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
They still have Spence, your Charlos and stuff. Their roster is still top heavy when it comes to American elite talent. So even though they soft launch in a poor way, do you think that can resemble what will happen in 2024? Or do you think 2024 can still be a success for them, but they have to try to get these fights done?
It'll be success adjacent because for a lot of those fighters, let me rephrase. For the stars that they have on, apart from maybe the only other star that I'd say is loyal to PBC is Errol Spence. Outside Errol Spence, the other stars are Crawford and Canelo. Those two are literally on strict deals where it's just like, if you ain't got the fights for me, I'm leaving. And I feel like I don't like how PBC a lot of the time it slows down a lot of fighters' activity. And I'm a Jaime guy, but the way some of these guys only fight like once a year or twice, and I don't even mind the twice a year, depending on the circumstance, but sometimes it's like the inactivity between fights is too much. And like I said, it's because the economics of boxing, you've given certain people a certain amount of money what was due to them a decade ago, but that money's not in boxing no more. That's the honest truth. The stars ain't starring like they used to. So with Crawford, I think he's one of the few people that can generate money. Obviously, Canelo can generate money, but everyone else is like, you're going to see stupid pay-per-view, and it's only because of certain people that were yesteryear stars are still on yesteryear contracts and own the yesteryear money. But the only people that should be on pay-per-view for PBC right now is Crawford when he returns, Canelo, and Errol Spence if he gets a title shot. If Errol Spence has a return fight and it's not a title shot at 154, it'll be dumb to make it pay-per-view, because it's like, no, people need to see him reestablish himself as the guy again, get a win at 154 and get a belt. That's what I would like for him. And then maybe do the rematch first, Crawford, with belts on the line. But yeah, the economy of boxing is in disarray at the moment. And You got what's the line ago? You got bench players. You got bench players talking like they're starters.
Yeah, I use the treat.
It's nasty, man. It's nasty.
You know, one quick thing I want to run over, and this is a rumor. I don't know how much is going to materialize, but we talked about it in the chat. Gervonta Davis's next fight potentially in the UK.
Throw it away.
You're gonna throw it away, bro. That's all I need to hear.
Against who?
Hey, listen.
Against
you know what I want. You know what I want. That's not gonna happen, but you know what I want.
Oh yeah.
Look, listen. If you do that, I'm gonna tell you this right now. You whatever it is. Again, I can't say whatever the cost. Reasonable cost. I'm there. But if it was to happen, if we saw like a Gervonta Davis, a crossover guy, do you think it'd be an arena? What type of level could we see a Gervonta Davis fight? Are we going to get the arena? Are we going to get a potential stadium? What could we see?
No. It's not. It's definitely not going to be a stadium. It'll be an arena. But what credible UK opponent is there for him? In regards to, I know you want your guy Adam Aziz, but then it's gonna look nasty on Gervonta's part because it's gonna be like, why are you facing a prospect?
Yeah.
Oh no, he's European champion, isn't it? So it's like, why are you facing European champion? Are you meant to be world level? Don't get me wrong, I'll be happy for Adam Azim if he was to get the fight. But other than Adam Azim, it's like what you got Catterall there, you've got Josh Taylor, who, to be fair, right now should be a welterweight anyway. And then at lightweight and light welter, there's not too many guys for Davis to fight. It's just nasty. You know the fight to make is meant to be Shakur versus Gervonta Davis. That is at this point, that's the only fight that people should be demanding to see. Or I think Gervonta versus Frank Martin, even though I feel like Frank Martin should be going for a belt instead of going for the money. But if there's a bag to collect there, please, man, go get that bag because you're here for a good time, not a long time. But either way, outside of Frank Martin and outside of Shakur Stevenson, people need to stop entertaining Davis.
If Gervonta Davis comes, what's your price point for a ticket that you would go watch?
None. I'm being so serious. No, I'm not going. I don't want to go. I'm tired. Drop out everything, brother. Go for greatness for once, bruv. Like him, and it hurts me to say it because he's my guy, but him and Shakur Stevenson are like the social media world champions. Everyone got these hypotheticals that, oh, if he was to face this guy and that guy, he's that world champion. And it's just like, no, get in the ring and do it. Because as much as people want to get onto Devin Haney and people try to disregard Devin Haney or say that he's not as special as Davis or Shakur, Haney's done stuff that they haven't done. Do you get what I'm saying? And the way he's done it is spectacular. And sometimes it's not about who's the most talented, it's about who gets it done. Haney has got it done. And it looks worse than Shakur now. Because remember when Haney first beat Loma and they're like, all right, cool, Shakur is the guy. And then
Stinkfest afterwards.
Yeah, and it's like now it looks bad on you because all you've done is talk. And what's worse is like you've just talked even more instead of getting in the ring and say, do you know what? It wasn't the best performance. I'm gonna get it back. But then if you just keep on talking without showing the performance, no one cares. And this ain't disrespect. And I know some of these fires are sensitive and they feel away, but it's not. Don't get me wrong. I understand why, as a fighter, you'll be annoyed because there's a lot of trolling that gets in the way of general criticism. But there are people that I'm sure that are trolling him that he's probably been fighting on the internet, which is sometimes I see Shakur on Twitter and I'm just like, please, someone take his phone. This is not a good look for him.
At least you know he runs his own account.
Yeah, but sometimes it's just like, brother, management take his, like, it's just not a good look how you're perceived to be, before you were perceived as a boogeyman. And then you done all that talk. You put in a performance that weren't the greatest. And now everyone's looking at you like, oh, you're the social media guy. And it's just like, brother.
You don't want that. You don't want that.
Yeah, and because, do you know what's worse? It's because he reacts to trolls as well. Because don't get me wrong. Sorry?
I said, we gave that to Ryan Garcia for a little while where it was like, all you care about is social media, not real boxing.
No, but the difference was with Garcia was just like they say that you care about social media more because he's not as seen as talented as Shakur. Shakur, like I said, was seen as the boogeyman. Ryan Garcia was never seen as the boogeyman. So then to see Shakur in the light where it's just like you keep on reacting to trolls, or the energy you should be giving to trolls, you're giving to general, like, actual constructive criticism, it looks bad because he's lashing out at people saying about, oh, well, my last performance, this, that, and the third. And it's just like, brother, it was not a good performance. Point blank, period. Does it happen to the best of them? Yes. Stay silent, get back in there, get your lick back, and then tell everyone that you've arrived. But the way he's been going on, it is such a bad look. As for Tank is going to tank, and people should start voting with their money and just not going to his fights until he does one of the bigger fights. Simple.
I hear it. With that, we are going to wrap up today's episode of the Stay Weighed In Show. As always, guys, if you like the content, drop a like, share, subscribe, follow the iBoxingHub YouTube page and all the social media outlets. There's multiple shows every day. We've got a show basically every week now, so go support ourselves and the rest of the team. And also, again, that promo code iBoxingHub24 for 40% off D-Rock's website worldwide. All wide.
You said it first. You said it right first time.
Worldwide, but you get what. Listen, Ray, any final words before we wrap up?
Listen, man, I just want the best to face the best. Canelo versus Benavidez. That's it.
I don't know if we get that fight personally, but as you said, until next time, guys,